The following presentation is brought to you through the paid memberships of NotaryStars.com, the only notary training platform and resource library with over 150 hours of training on every loan product under the sun. Together with our sister website, OnlineNotariesPublic.com, which focuses on notaries who are pioneering in remote online notary, we strive to give you a safe place to ask questions, get answers, gain confidence in your notary career, and achieve success without overfabricating the truths about our industry. If you would like to support us, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel, sharing this video with a colleague, or becoming a member and trusting us to help you achieve the level of success you desire.
Well, hey there, friends. Thank you so much for spending time with us tonight and allowing us to be a voice in your notary journey. My name is Beth Hathoot, and this is Notary Stars Monday General Mentorship, aka MGM. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, get ready for an awesome hour. We always do awesome hours here. Sometimes they're awesome hours and 15 minutes, but an hour in general. This is where questions become connections, and we all have a chance to make our industry a better place. If you're a member of the training website, be sure to keep your eye on the calendar of live events, guys, because we have a lot going on this year. Here's what your class lineup has in store for you this week. Of course, tonight, Monday, is always MGM, except for holidays, and all of the team is here for you. Tuesday is a class called NEAT, Notary Education and Training with Kirsten. She's our notary liaison for novice notaries and veterans who just want to polish up a bit. Her class this Tuesday, January 14th, is on journaling. So best practices for keeping a journal. Wednesday, SAUCE. SAUCE stands for Signing Agent Ultimate Continuing Education. That's my class. We go over loan files. So the loan file for this week is a refinance in a trust. So you need to watch the video, and we'll post the link in the chat for you, or just go to the website, look for the Kapow sticker in Module 3 under the Notary Stars training. Download that worksheet located below the video and bring it to class with you on Wednesday, the 15th. Mr. Manuel Puga is our Spanish translator for classes. He's ever present in all of the classes he has time to attend. So he can assist any of the Spanish-speaking students with current translation of any of the legal terms in the loan documents, guys. Thursday, January 16th, that's Marketing with Ronnie. He actually has two classes. He double dips. He's got two classes on Thursday. One is on direct business and one is on digital marketing. Our newest member of the team conducts her classes every other Friday. That's Amy Seitz. We don't have any Ron training this week, but Ron training will be on Friday the 17th, right? Do I have my dates right? No, the 24th. Sorry about that. But everybody who attended the last class, you've got some homework that you've got to do, and be prepared to bring that to next class for Ron training. Also, get ready for another free marketing tip coming your way this week in the newsletter. So hopefully you haven't unsubscribed from the newsletter, because by the end of the year, you will have gotten 52 tidbits for marketing out of that weekly newsletter. This mentorship is all about you guys, our nationwide notary community. So if you could do just a couple of things, please update your Zoom label with your state abbreviation behind your name, because I don't know where Jennifer Barbary is from, or Jerry Joe Hoover, or Aretha Morgan. I don't know what state you're in. That means nobody else in the gallery knows what state you're hailing from. This is a perfect opportunity to network with other notaries. Keep your eye on the chat for links and other information throughout the evening. Show your face. Turn on your camera. It's so much easier when we can see your face. Get involved during Q&A. Raise your virtual hand to ask a question or participate in discussions. And don't forget, we have a jot form that's always available to you to pre-ask your questions as they come to mind during the week. All right. Mr. Ronnie, are you ready to start this party?
I am. I want to let everybody here know that we have a lot of questions to go through tonight. Okay. And so I just want to remind the instructors tonight as we answer those questions, let's try very hard to make sure that we get through them pretty quickly. I have 3 little announcements. Kirsten will post these in the chat. I want you to check out our new fillable invoice that we have available for you. For those of you that are brand new to the industry, you may not have picked your platform to use, which we go over all accounting software at Notary Stars. We did create a free fillable invoice generator for you so that you can fill out that invoice that you need to send to your client. It'll email it to you already formatted, and then you can send it along the way. I just want to remind everybody about Idiomatic as well. We have a partnership with Idiomatic so that you can make money. I have to say this, I'm talking about it in my marketing course. This week on one sale, I made $420 something off of one sale for a document translation, and I made another $20 off another sale. This is serious money, guys, and you don't have to have a license. There's 100% legal to get referrals, and the way that we're teaching it in the marketing class, you can make even more money. Kirsten will post information about that into the chat. And then I want to remind you about the signature name affidavit article that Miss Beth wrote and got for our community. The NNA is actually looking at it to post it because it's really important. We reached out to them and said, hey, we'd like to share this, and they are looking at it. We don't know if they'll actually get it out there, but they was like, this is interesting. A lot of times title offices will say, oh, it's okay, I put a signature name affidavit in there, or a lender will say, I put a signature name affidavit in there, and that's not a valid form of ID. So Miss Beth wrote an article for you on how to handle that situation, and she's the GOAT when it comes to loan documents, and not calling Miss Beth a GOAT, that's the greatest of all times, it's an abbreviation. With that said, Miss Beth, those are my announcements.
If you yell at me, I freeze and fall over. I'm one of those.
I've never yelled at you. I mean, not in a bad way anyway. Sometimes I'm excited about stuff and I'm like that. But those are my announcements for tonight. I'm ready to get started with questions. Just want to remind everybody, we do tit for tat when it comes to pre-asked questions and live gallery. So if you brought questions tonight, I know somebody asked something in the privately to me. It's really hard to manage all the screens and do everything that I'm doing and answer questions in chat. That was a really great question, so I hope you'll ask it tonight. But Miss Beth, when you're ready, let's get started.
All righty. We're going to go straight to our jot form questions here. This was something, Ronnie, really, these first 3 are really for you, and we can probably kind of group them all together. This one was an anonymous poster, and it was listed as terrible advice from another online forum. So this one says, you need to contact title company who used the signing service that contracted with you. If they were talking about chase and payment. If they refuse to help, let them know you're holding them responsible. If they refuse to get the service to pay you, send 3 emails with a copy of the invoice attached marked past due, spaced about a week or 2 apart, requesting payment with the warning that unless payment is made, you'll take further action. So this signing service was actually they were actually recommending that this signing service that didn't pay them, they contact the title company and raise a stink with them. Mr. Mickle, what do you say?
Well, I say let's all take a look at the NNA and what they say. You are not allowed to go to the title company. And let me tell you something, guys, when you work through signing order, particularly SnapDocs, you sign an agreement with companies that you work for them. When you go and start trying to get a title company to collect for them, you weren't hired by that title company. They hired a company. They can actually turn around and sue you for trying to collect for them. There are laws against collection in this country. on when you can call, how you can go about it. It is nice that people on Notary Cafe think that they know everything about bill collecting, and that they're trying to guide other people, but they don't. So when it comes to collecting invoices, make sure that you know your state laws, first of all, on what you can do to collect. That's a 50 state uh, difference on what you can and cannot do. In some states, you can call at certain times, other states you can't. Some states you can record conversations, other states you can't. But one thing I know is you can only reach out to the party that you actually hired you, and you sign a contract for that. And here's the thing, if it's a bad paying company, somebody who's not going to pay you, they can use that against you and cost you more money for stepping out of line. So be very careful who you listen to and where you get your information from.
Perfect. And that goes for not just trying to collect from a title company. That's going back to your individual signer at the table and saying, hey, pay me up because my hiring party didn't pay me. They charged you. That money should have gone to me. Pay me. That's also not ethical. I started to say illegal, but it's probably just not ethical. Thank you. I'm going to take one hand that's up, Mr. Ronnie, and then we'll go back to the other two questions for you. Melissa, did you have a comment on that situation? Oh, can't. There we go. Try to unmute now. There we go.
Yes, I was just heard before that maybe you could just tell them as a tactic, well, that you're going to or check with the escrow company if it funded and it was paid, not that you're trying to collect from them. Because some people say, oh, well, you don't get paid because we didn't get paid or something.
So, Miss Melissa, I love this question, but you really have to be very careful when it comes to reaching out to anybody besides the party that hired you. You're stepping on a line there. We all have to stay in our lane when we are working with any hiring party. So even contacting the title company to see if it's been paid yet, that's stepping out of line. And all it's going to take is one title company that knows the laws. And remember, we all worked different jobs before we got here, and some of us work different jobs. Some of us do debt collection. And I learned all of these things by working with a debt collector on what notaries could and could not do. We've toyed with the idea of building in our own debt collection company. There's a lot that goes along the lines of it. So I would say you have to work with the party that hired you. Do not step out of the lane.
Yeah, for sure. Good advice. Two questions that kind of go together for you, Mr. Ronnie. One from Kamisha and the other from Victoria, and they both have to do with being a new signing agent and how they get more business. One of them says, I'd like to have at least 4 notary jobs a week. And the other one says, my certification is new. How do I get my first signing appointment?
Okay, so 2 questions. We can definitely roll these into one. When your certification is new, you need to really lean into your training. At Notary Stars, if you go to other training courses, it might be just an hour training, click a few buttons, and they don't even know about your training. But at Notary Stars, you actually go through loan packages, and you can actually lean into your training. I know how to do a seller's file. I know how to do a buyer's file. I know how to do a new construction loan. I know how to do reverse mortgage. As you take our training and you go through the modules, you need to be updating your resume and your capabilities. That's in your signing order profile, in your SnapDocs profile. Make sure as you go through those modules, all 32 plus, 35 now, Miss Beth?
35.
35 files. And if you're Spanish speaking, you can say, I can do this in English and in Spanish. Make sure you're updating your profiles with what you're capable of doing. And here's the thing, I can't tell you if you're capable of doing it. You can watch that video 100 times and still not be capable of doing it. That is up to you to decide, can I go out and do these files? You need to know in your heart before you advertise, I can do something, that you can actually do it. Some of the certifications that don't offer the kind of training that we do, you can't put those items because you haven't done those. But with our training course, you definitely can. So make sure that you update your resume. And then how to grow the amount of signings in 2025 and get to 4 notary jobs per week. I would say diversify. Don't just lean into loan signings. Make sure you're doing general notary work, apostille, I-9 verifications if it's legal in your state, document translations, anything that you can add in. And I'm just going to plug my marketing course this year. My whole thing is work smarter, not harder. There's a million things that you can do to advertise your notary business, and all of the things that you do that other trainers can't offer you. So come talk to me at marketing if you want to increase your business.
Good deal. There was a comment in the chat, also from Savannah, that said, Notary Stars, I gotta plug us all. Notary Stars made me realize that I'm out here learning signing agent lessons the hard way when I don't have to. Could come to class. There you go. Okay. Next up kind of looks like this one is for me. And on this particular question, if anybody is in the gallery, we've got 182 people here. There's got to be somebody here from Texas. If you have a particular method that you use to go about this, chime in. But this one is from Angela. She says, Texas cash out signings in an attorney title or office. Is there a defined or known process that works? Do you need to build a relationship with the attorney or title company prior to completing cash out signings in their office? So I'm going to tell you that you're not going to just go in there and take up space. They're going to charge you. It's going to be contractual. You're going to be renting space. And some of them may not want you in their office. We don't have any space. We can't help you. Others would be more than happy to rent you out the closet for $75 an hour. It's just a matter of building that relationship or that communication with that attorney office or title company in order to be able to work in their office. Now, that doesn't mean you need just one. You might need several spread out across the city, because here's the thing. If you travel to the northern part of the city and you live in the south, think about that customer as well. They may want to go to an office that's a little bit closer. So you'd have to kind of space that out a little bit and get more than one office under contract or under your belt that you can rely on to be able to work in their office. Also keep in mind that just because they've got a space for you today doesn't mean they're going to have space for you tomorrow. So you have to factor in all of those things. Nicole says, does the NNA background screening and NSA certification exam need to be renewed every 12 months? To work and complete signings? I keep getting notifications that mine expired in November. Yeah, the sad reality is your background check and your NNA exam through a National Notary Association has to be completed every year. And adding to that, every year in January, you need to be uploading a new W-9 to all of the companies that you work with and or platforms.
Miss Beth, I just want to remind people, it's not just that you want that the companies want you to upload it. We get so much pushback at Unlimited Ink saying, oh, well, the government says I only have to upload one every so many often unless I move. I don't care what the government says. I have a contract with my signer, with my companies that I use as a signing service that says they need a new one every year or they won't remit payment. And I have to prove that it's in the file every time that we do a payment. And so at the beginning of the year, we get a lot of pushback from notaries going, oh, I updated that. I don't have to do it. You have to send money. And we've even had people send demand letters and we just send them the contract that they signed. And a lot of times the signing services have the same contract from signing order. So you have to upload it or you won't get paid. So I just wanted to drop my 2 cents on that because there's a lot of people out there, again, guiding notaries to say that they can take all this liberty and you run a business. You have to play by the rules.
Any, going on to another subject here, any bilingual notaries in this group of 193 people? Drop a 1 in the chat. Let me see how many bilingual notaries we have.
There we go. The chat's blowing up. Everybody's bilingual.
Got a few. We got a few. Well, the next question we're going to pose to our bilingual instructor, Mr. Manuel Puga. Manuel, Feel free to answer in Spanish, but you got to follow up in English, okay? Okay. This says, I have a commission in Florida that I got because of my ex job, and I'm looking to see what else I can do with it. I never really thought about making money with it. So what do you say to Francisco?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Francisco. I'm not sure if you're here, but here's my answer to your question. So there is a variety of things you can do with your commission. And the first one I'm going to say is advertise yourself as a mobile notary. Being a mobile notary, you can perform or you can notarize so many documents like affidavits, living trust, car titles, minor traffic consent forms, and so many more. Also know where you can go if you're around hospitals, jail facilities. Also, those places you can advertise as well as a mobile notary. Also, put yourself out there as a flexible notary. Sometimes notaries work from 8 to 4, 8 to 5, so be available for customers that are looking for notaries after hours. And the list keeps growing and growing and growing. You can also do loan signing, notary services. You can do wedding officiant. You can facilitate apostille services, translation services, estate planning services, and so much more. Since you are in Florida, you can also do remote online notarization as well. Just know that you just need to make sure that follow your state laws and make sure that you don't provide any authorized practice of law.
So what you're saying is there is a whole wide open world and options for this person.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
It is not just, what did she say? Because of so she's what I call, or he, Francisco, is what I call an accidental notary. They became a notary because of their job. That's banking or insurance or maybe even the medical profession, right? And now, because of her ex job, she still has that commission. What does she do with it? It's really wide open territory. You just need to know where to look, which rocks to roll over and see what you can do. And that just takes some training and community, right?
Miss Beth, I think the next question is for you, but I just want to remind people before I read this off for you, we're here for about another 40 minutes, guys. And I know that there are people who are asking some things in the chat. We want to hear from you. We got your questions, and maybe most of you wrote them in, but we would love, there was one question about Ron that came in through the chat, and I said that would be great. Please raise your hand for that tonight. I'm going to read you this next question, Miss Beth, while people get those hands raised. This one is definitely for you. It says, can a deed for a mobile home be filed electronically? It is not tied to a parcel of land. I don't know if that's supposed to be if it's not tied, but it says it's not tied to a parcel of land.
Well, that's a important distinction. A deed on a mobile home, if the mobile home is permanently affixed to a owned parcel of land, we're not talking about a rented lot, then it's treated like real property. So any other home that you would sign a loan package on is treated the same way. But if it's not tied to a parcel of land, it now becomes personal property and not real property. And that's the same as the vehicles that you drive, your truck, your car, your trailer that you pull. They're not recorded. So it's not an electronic recording. They're registered with the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles. So the only thing then that's left to question is, what state is it in? Currently, only Arizona, California, New York, and Texas participates in electronic registrations for vehicle titles. So hopefully that answers your question. We do have a couple of hands up now, Mr. Ronnie. They got your message. They want to ask their question. Is it Kersey? You can go ahead and unmute. There you go.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, it is. It's Kersey.
Thank you.
So my question is, I am a Ron, Florida notary, and recently I've been getting some international clients, specifically like China, let's just say, for instance. And this is for loan signings. And there comes a time where the real estate agent asks if they can be part of the session in case there's some translation or communication issues where the signer doesn't understand fully. Um, and I kind of don't feel comfortable with that because in my Florida state law, it's not very clear. If I look at the state law, it says that you cannot use a translator to notarize documents. But then I also call the NNA to ask, and then they said that it's up to my discretion as to use a translator. So it kind of leaves me up in the air, but as long as I'm able to communicate with the signer and as long as they understand what they're signing, and maybe if I'm asking them to sign something or a particular question, then I kind of allow it. But other than that, I just wanted to know, like, what are the limitations?
This is a two instructor answer here. I'm going to let Beth lead with.
Actually, I have to look it up. Let
It's
Amy.
let
Yeah.
Amy. It's a 50 state question on if you can allow that to happen or not. But let's talk about Florida because that's where you are. So, Amy.
So in Florida, the law says you have to be able to directly communicate with the signer. Now, I know notaries that have determined directly communicate as that is the use of a translator. They are directly communicating. And I know notaries that say, no, I have to speak that language. I'm on the opinion you cannot use a translator. That's my opinion of it, but I'm not an attorney. So what I would tell you is if you're uncomfortable, don't do it. If you can't defend yourself in a court of law, don't do it. As far as that goes. Now, if you're able to communicate with them 95% of the session and they have questions about other aspects that you're not having notarized, I'd have no issue with them talking in a foreign language, you know?
Oh, okay. Okay, I understand. So as long as it's like a question on a document in particular that doesn't have to be notarized and you're comfortable with it. Yeah, my whole thing was just like, do they understand? My main focus too is knowing is that they fully are aware of what they're signing, and what they're attesting to. So it's not very clear, but I think I agree with what you're saying.
When you get to like a 95% language barrier, if somebody does translate something, you could also ask them now, can you tell me what they told you in English? So that
Oh, good.
95%. I tried to speak another language and I lived in Paris for a while. And there were times where I struggled when I was actually speaking French. Please don't call me and ask me to have a conversation in French tomorrow, but I can speak it. But when I was living there were times where I had to ask my friend, what was that? To make sure, that I heard that correctly. But I also have sat in one of my roommates going through college had to go through immigration, and they were very adamant. You have to speak to the translator will speak to the judge, and they were like very strict on that. So I've also seen the legal side of that. Asking what a word means might not be a faux pas, so to speak, but each state has its own regulations. And, one thing that I want to make sure it's clear is you need to check with your Secretary of State. And Miss Beth, I think you just looked it up. So what do we know about Florida?
Well, we have two issues here, and you need to be clear on whether we're talking about translation or interpretation. So most of our handbooks regard interpretation as sitting at the table and having your speech interpreted into another language. There's also the issue, and by the way, Florida does not have any mention of the interpreter statute in the book. There's no mention of interpretation. What they do say, though, is for translation, and it could be huge for you because that's under your Florida regulations 117.107, paragraph 6. If you look that up, it says a notary public may not take the acknowledgement of a person who does not speak or understand the English language unless the nature and effect of the instrument written in English and to be notarized is translated into a language the person does understand. So what you need to know here is you're always, almost always, particularly in loan documents, 100% of the time, always, notarizing English documents. If that person signing that document cannot read the English language, you cannot take their notarization. That's what your law says.
And Miss Beth, there's one thing I have my hand raised because I want to add something to this. Thank you for all that you looked up. Amy actually pointed out something to me, and I was like, we got to get that in general mentorship about the driver's licenses for RVs, because it sparked my whole interest on this, and I thought this was such an interesting thing. Amy, tell them about the driver's licenses that they need to know about for people who have mobile homes.
Well, it's not, okay, so here's my situation. We sold everything. We moved into our camper. We don't live in a actual spot. We move all over Florida every 2 weeks to a new spot. And I got my Florida driver's license. And because we have what's called a virtual address, because we don't actually live at that address, they put my address as my, one second here, as my license plate of my camper. Now I blotted out all of the security aspects of my ID, but you can see my name, and instead of an address, it literally is my license plate. And then it has the city, state, and zip of my virtual address. But what's interesting too is if I found this out after the fact too, if you were in law enforcement, or you are in law enforcement, or you're in the immediate family of a law enforcement officer, you can have your address completely redacted off of your driver's license. So it won't have anything but your name, picture, and your signature, because they don't want people to come after and target anyone related or is someone that is in law enforcement down here.
Yeah, so if it's on the document, they can find it on electronically, the data, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things where it's a privacy concern, and then of the virtual aspect. And there's a ton of nomads. I mean, I'm in a campground right now with 1,200 sites, and it's full. People that do exactly what I'm doing. So, you know, it's something you probably will come across at some point.
Hi, Amy. Hi. Can you tell notaries whether or not it is illegal or legal to have an address on the ID? I attended your class last Friday, and someone asked, well, what about if I don't see the address? Can I still take that ID?
Oh, well, that's a great point. So when you think about the government issued ID, let's compare it to a passport. A passport does not have a driver's license on it. It has the 3 elements that you're checking for: the issuing name, the photograph, and the signature, right? So on a driver's license, how would you really know where they lived anyway? You're not even comparing the address to anything in general, because you're either standing physically in front of them or you're doing something virtually. We're just confirming that the issuing ID is valid for the person that's in front of you on all of that aspect. So, you know, there's no reason that it couldn't be considered valid. It would pass going through credential analysis on a RON platform as well.
Awesome. All right, Miss Beth, are we ready to take a hand, or do we want to go to the next question?
Let's take this next question, only because it kind of has the same connotation, the same feel that Amy was just talking about. And Amy, it's from Ramona, and it says, as a RON that travels out of the state that I'm commissioned in, can I still be a witness on my RON platform while I am out of the state? So apparently Ramona knows she can't do RON when she's not in her home state, but can she be a witness while she's out of state?
Sure. So in general, if you're traveling within the United States, you can be a witness on any Ron session. If you're traveling outside of the United States, it's going to be a state by state thing, specifically because Florida does not allow a remote witness to be located internationally unless the signer and that remote witness are physically together. So they would have to be together in downtown Spain, connecting to you through video. And the chances of that are pretty much none. So as long as you're in the United States and you can have that connection and sign, you can definitely be a witness.
Perfect. All righty. And back to the gallery. Mr. Jabari, would you like to unmute and ask your question? I see you're not out stalking people tonight.
How you doing, Miss Beth? Yeah, no, I'm home today, so
Okay.
I do. Okay, as you know, I've been receiving work from my local UPS store, right? And so a lot of times I get, a lot. Well, basically, they're referring me their real estate clientele because they don't do any real estate documents. Now, I'm bringing that up because basically my question is about how I'm able to charge because lately I've been getting entire packages and I don't feel comfortable just notarizing the one or two documents in that package without presenting the entire package. I'm asking this question because in the state of Indiana, it says the maximum fee for a notary public may charge is $10 per individual. Notaries may bill a customer separately for incidental costs and services such as travel. So, with that in mind, I'm wondering, I know I'm charging for the notarial acts, but would it also be, I guess, acceptable to charge for document description or package presentation?
Well, if you're getting, so you're talking about a loan presentation or a loan package that doesn't come from a title company or signing service.
Correct.
Oftentimes we see that happen in loan modifications. It comes directly from the consumer, from the end user. Seller packages can come directly from the signer, the seller of the property. No, it depends. In Arizona, I can't charge a signing service fee or a presentation fee. I can't charge anything but my notarial act and mileage to get there. So if in Indiana, you can charge any ancillary fees on top of your notarization fees, you could charge them for presentation. But the question is, they have to agree to that.
Right.
You should be saying, if this is your loan modification, if you want me to explain the document to you or take you through the document on a deeper level than just point and sign, I can do that. There is a fee associated with that.
Understood. Now, would that apply as well to, like, say, a trust, a living trust presentation?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
For
Okay.
sure.
All right. Thank you.
Are qualified to present living trusts or to help signers go through and sign their living trust documents. You'd be happy to take them through that in a very in-depth process if they wish. Otherwise, it's a point and sign, and all I can charge is $10 and mileage.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jabari. And I really appreciate it. I've seen quite a few great questions come from you over the time that you've been with us. So I really appreciate it when you raise your hand and bring things to the table. You're really thinking and conscious about what you're doing. So I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Ooh, Savannah, another Floridian. Do you want to go ahead and unmute Savannah and ask your question?
Well, I was using this weird headset, so I didn't wake up my kids, but he's right here. Give me just 1 second.
Oh.
We can come back if she needs us to.
Okay. How about Mr. John?
I just want to know if I did something wrong, like unauthorized
Absolutely.
practice of law.
Completely. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I did a notarization for a brother and sister. One was coming from north, one was coming from south. So they met in my city in the middle, and we did it at a Starbucks. They were selling a property. Um, and all they requested was the notarizations for the deed and the net proceeds instruction. But as they were filling stuff out, I was noticing that their paperwork was filled out incorrectly. Like there was mistakes on the 593, there's mistakes on like 4 documents. I was only getting paid to do the notarizations, but I pointed it out. I had them correct all those mistakes. Did I do something wrong?
Maybe. I don't know. What'd you tell them?
Well, I told them that normally I do loan signings and I know these documents and that they were filled out incorrectly. In other words, when I do a loan signing, I will tell them, okay, this needs this, signature, date here. You need to choose a box here.
Okay.
Not telling them what to put there, but that they were, because they were ready to, after I notarize it, they were gonna just FedEx it back. And I asked them, did you complete everything here? And they said, yes. And I'm like, on the 593, you need to check one of these boxes on, section whatever. And then on the signature page, you need to check one of those. There was just a lot of things that they didn't do.
Miss Beth, can I lead on this and you follow, if you don't mind?
Sure.
I have my 2 cents. So we have to remember we wear 2 hats as a loan signing agent. We are a notary who is working on behalf of title, either through a signing service or through title. And they do expect us to say things, but we can never say this is done incorrectly, even when we're wearing that hat as a loan signing agent. We can say, I would talk to your title officer, or are you sure this information is correct? When you start saying something is wrong, then you may be practicing unethical. How do you say it, Miss Beth?
Unauthorized practice.
Unauthorized practice. I want to say unethical. It may be ethical to tell them, but it may be unauthorized practice of law to say this is incorrect because you're not an attorney, you're not a tax accountant, you're none of those things. You are someone who does loan signings. Now, when you do a loan signing, if you just pointed out this may not be right, you might want to talk to your title office about this, or are you sure? But you are right when you say my job is to notarize the document. And so are you going to get in trouble for that one? Probably not. But you may want to adjust how you present. Something may not be right in the future. And Miss Beth, I'll let you follow that.
On the 593, I did not tell them what to choose. I just said they had to choose something.
Yeah, and I
On
think
the
that's
first
fine.
page and on the signature page that they had to choose something. And then there was other documents where they didn't choose boxes. And I told them, don't drop this in the mail Monday morning until you contact your CPA so you can get a better answer as to what to choose on this 593, because it has to do with capital gains. Also on their no information for reporting, it was not filled out.
Yeah, John, I think you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you're not telling them what to choose, you're just saying you have to complete this and then sign. This has to be completed and signed. Check that box, initial that. Yeah, you're fine.
Thank you.
Miss Beth, we have another question in the job form, but I wanted to remind Savannah and everyone else, we have about 20 minutes left. If that, so if you want to raise your hand to ask a question, but Savannah, when you're ready again, just raise that hand and we'll get you back in rotation. We love that you're playing mommy duty and notary duty at the same time tonight. This next question, Miss Beth, it says, I came across a discussion board that had many options on how to best send loan documents back. Bags versus hard envelopes, both papers in a file folder, rubber band, or paperclip the documents. And or in the folder. I mean, there's a ton of options there. It says, I'm not sure what is expected. I read from a couple of agencies, no paperclip staples, and be mindful of not increasing the cost of sending the packages in bigger than necessary packaging. Do you have any suggestions? And I mean, honestly, I think if anybody could answer this question, it's probably you. Because if you guys don't know this, we did a video on Beth's car and everything that she has available. Um, Everyone's going to have a different method, but Miss Beth, what's your method? And then I'm sure you have an answer for that as well.
Well, definitely don't put any paper clips or staples in your documents. Just don't do it. The process that happens when that package gets back to title is those packages are ripped open at the front desk. They take that stack of paper, they throw it on the copy machine, and they immediately start making copies. So please, no staples, no paper clips, nothing that's going to jam up the works for them. For me, when I send them back, if I have a check that has to go back, I use the little tape flags that I have to mark the pages. Sometimes, you know, 2 documents that I want to look at first in the signing, I'll mark them with a tape flag. I'll use those tape flags to attach a check on the closing disclosure or something. It's not going to jam up the works. It's not going to cause a problem if they don't see it right away. It'll go through a copy machine without jamming up the works. But I usually will put those in the cardboard mailer, seal it, and put the cardboard mailer in a poly pack. It's a raincoat, particularly this time of year when it's wet and slushy and icky. You've seen those newsreels where UPS or a FedEx truck gets into an accident and all those packages are scattered all over the road. I don't want my package, if it's retrievable and can continue on its journey, I don't want it to be soaked where it's unusable. So I always put them in a raincoat. So I will put them in that cardboard package, then in a raincoat, and then I mail them. What they're talking about is bigger packages than necessary. Is they're saying don't put them in the boxes. Those things cost exponentially more money to ship than a flat pack. So Kirsten, how about you?
Yeah, I do. I pretty much do the same. If it's a really fat loan packet, I put all my documents in like a manila file folder, not the envelope, but the file folder. And if it's a fat packet, I'll put a rubber band on it just to kind of keep them in there. And then I put it into cardboard and then into a poly.
Yeah.
But if it's a thinner file, don't use a rubber band because it will fold the files in and cause them to curve and crease and all that. But yeah, I do pretty much what you said. So yeah.
Miss Beth, I want to add something funny to this because it's so true. And I'm a rubber band guy. I've always used rubber bands, but I have to say it like this: size matters. When you are putting your rubber band around a package, do not try to use this little thing because it will dig into the paper and cut the paper, making it derail on its way through the scanner. And just a little plug for the inkjet. That's why they don't want you to use inkjet, because the dust comes off into their scanners and then they have to redo it. You want to use a big rubber band, and you can buy assorted sizes so that you can use them for all the things that you're doing, but you want to use the biggest rubber bands, and you want to make sure it's not going into the sides of the paper and tearing the paper. Okay, you want to make sure it's just enough to hold the papers together. So make sure you order your rubber bands where they fit and they're not tearing the paper. I made that mistake. I really made a company mad. They gave forgiveness after they told me. But back in the day, I was using rubber bands half the size of this to stretch around the package because I was cheap and I didn't have any money and I wanted to cut corners. And they were like, we don't care if you use a rubber band, Ronnie, but make sure it fits over the package and not cutting into the paper. So I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in on that.
So somebody in the chat said that they use the black binder clips. That's fine too. But if you're going to keep that on there when you send it back, definitely double pack it, cardboard and plastic, because it will rub through and cut that cardboard before it gets to where it's going. The other thing, guys, if you can't get poly packs from your UPS or FedEx local sites, sign up online for an account. and get them to ship you those supplies. Oftentimes when you have a FedEx or UPS store that says, we don't have those, we can't give you those. Some of them even tell you we're charging you for those. Don't do that. It's free. Sign up for an account, get them online. All righty.
Just a reminder for everybody, we have 11 minutes, lots of questions on the job form to cover. We want to try to cover them all tonight. For those who have their hands raised, we're going to try to go through this as fast as possible.
Okay.
You ready for Miss Savannah's hand?
Ready. Are you ready, Savannah?
Oh, where'd she go?
Uh-oh.
I think so.
Okay, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so this is probably not a short one, and it might be addressed somewhere that I can just find it. But you were talking about how a signing service or somebody had told you about the rubber bands. So when we're working for these signing services, though, we don't often get told. We just get reviewed and we can't see it. And my question is, if I make a boo-boo and I don't know about it, but I can tell that maybe I'm getting less signings because of it, how long does it take to, I guess, kind of like rebuild your reputation on a platform like that? Because I don't know what it looks like from like y'all's side.
So that's a really great question. So you have, I'm working with signing order, pressuring them every single month to release your reviews to you, or at least your quality score, so that you can see and kind of pinpoint where you made an error. You know, if you drive for Uber or Lyft, they don't tell you exactly what you did wrong, but you have a quality score, and after so long, you just don't get used again by the platform at all. I think notaries should be able to see that on platforms like SnapDoc, ZigZig, Signing Order. So I'm really pressuring for that this year. If it's a bad enough error, they're going to tell you. And if they're mad enough, you got to calm them down and say, oh my God, I never thought of that. I didn't know that. I promise you I'll change it. I've saved myself from the brink of death many times in business. Caring is growing. Okay. If you care about what you're doing, anybody who cares about you and wants a long-term relationship with you in terms of work, they're going to give you a second chance to correct that behavior or something that you've done. When it comes to not knowing how to do this at all, that's a whole different story. But, you know, rubber bands versus binder clips, all of those things, those are things that you can recover from. It's more like not knowing how to do this at all, being rude to customers, not how to give the presentation that is going to really keep you from excelling in this industry.
Questions? Moving on just a little bit here. Urania, do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, so I'm running into customers that where the title office is sending the clients the documents, I guess, to find their own notaries, and maybe the title service is not able to find their notary during the time that, you know, the service that they need. So I'm just wondering, like, in those cases, let's say like if the client has a question, is it okay then to notify those title services and introduce yourself to who's working with their client?
I would say yes. Ronnie?
Absolutely. And these are my favorite kinds of clients because a lot of them don't know. So they could be in your local area. They could be very far. This is a great chance, Urania, for you to partner with signing services you like. So let's say you're not a signing service or you want to become one. This could be your first client as a signing service. If you're not wanting to open a signing service, you could say anything that comes in my area, I want it, but I'm going to partner with Unlimited Ink or Kimberly Sennett's company. Sorry, it slipped my mind. You can partner with Amy if she does Ron's and say, I'm going to drive all this business to you, but anything in my area or anything for Ron, I want first. You can start that right away. So these are my favorite kind of clients. And believe it or not, guys, there are tons of title companies out there that still don't know about what we do. You may think that they don't. I actually onboarded a client last year that never knew that mobile notaries were a thing. They went through COVID, okay? And they still didn't know that there were nationwide signing services out there. So Urania, pick up that phone, call them, let them know that you can do anything in the area and that you can also help them outside. If you don't want to manage it, call me, I'll help you. And you'll get a commission for every order that they put in.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually becoming, actually been a signing service. It's just building the clientele for me.
Then go for it. If they come to you direct, that's my favorite kind of client. And I hope you get 25 of those this year.
Yeah, because I've been getting quite a few of those. I was like, okay, let me try to find and navigate, to contact those titles and build relationship.
If they come to you direct with those documents, you can, I would work up a sales pitch for the next time that it happens. I mean, you can go now, but then plan what you're going to say. Let them know, like, hey, if you're looking to schedule outside of my area, I saw that you just did a mail away. I could help you with that. Definitely, you can make that happen. That could be a huge growth for you in 2025.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I hope you get it too. I hope you get a lot of growth in 2025.
All right, we had somebody's hand up and now it's down. So we must have answered their question or it got tired. Maybe one more question here. We are at 5 minutes till the hour. This one is an Amy question. On the Cyberize It platform, when the signing is complete, does the signer receive the video recording of the session? If so, is there a way to turn that feature off unless it's requested?
So without actually, I looked up Heidi's initials in my system and I don't show that she onboarded with us at all. So it's going to come a little out of context, but the short answer is yes. You have to do your own client profile and use that when you set up the sessions, and that will restrict only access to the notary. The client will have no access to documents, have no access to the video, have no access to the audit trail. Now, if you claim something off the job board, yes, the client will have access to their video.
Very good. Perfect. All righty. Last two hands up. We're not going to have enough time to take any more hands other than the two that are currently up now. Amy, would you, from Iowa, hey, Midwesterner, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Got to hit that space bar one more time. One more time. There you go.
There you go.
There. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Ah, cool. Okay. I'm just learning how to do all this stuff. Okay, so I was under the impression that for the documents like that were being translated or that you can't understand the other person or whatever, I was under the impression that you were only there to make sure that they are who they say they are.
I don't know what Iowa's regulations are, Amy. I'd have to look them up for you, but it's different for every state. Okay. Iowa, no clue. Amy, do you know offhand?
Not off the top of my head, but I will say, I know it confused me when she called on you. I was like, wait, I don't have a question.
Hey, which Amy? Which Amy?
I will say we are doing more than identifying a signer, no matter what state you're in. You have to understand consent. Do they comprehend the document? Are they consenting to the signature? Are they swearing or affirming that the information is true? If they can't read English or communicate in English, how can you ascertain those aspects if you don't have that language skill or a translator? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so if the document is in, say, Spanish, and then you ask them, they can understand you. You can't read the document, but they can understand, and you can kind of get it that way. And they say, yes, I understand. And then you add your acknowledgement, which is in English, because it's your acknowledgement. So
that's perfectly fine. The issue earlier was,
yes,
if you're in, it was her issue was she's doing online international signings.
Okay.
And the signer was in a foreign country where English was not their first language, and they had halting.
So it's English. A totally different situation.
Right. You described it exactly how it's supposed to be.
Okay.
For any person.
You don't, Amy, you don't need to understand what the document says.
Right. Right.
The only thing you need to know is what you can use to describe the document in your journal entry, the title of the document or something.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You bet. All righty. Sherry from Florida, you are our last question for the evening. Do you want to go ahead and unmute?
Okay. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I have maybe a quick question. So I received a phone call from a customer and they received a refinance packet in the mail. I did not know it was a refinance package until I arrived to my appointment, and they were missing some very important pages that they misplaced. So at the end of the signing, he came to me and said, "Oh, this was with the packet," and it said that the documents had to be notarized in black ink. But I had already notarized them in blue ink because he didn't have anything there for the notary. So would that affect me as a notary?
Affect you? No, your state does not say that you have to sign in black or blue ink. That was a request from the end user, the title company or the lender. So seeing that after the fact, for me, I probably would have just pulled out a loose certificate, done it in the requested ink color, disabled the one that was incorrect on the document, and called it a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's my only question.
Miss Shari, that prompts me to also say one other thing. And Miss Beth, can you remind me who's taking us home tonight when I'm done with this? So I want everybody to know, I wish Laura Beer was here tonight to second this. So we learned something very valuable last year or a year and a half ago at Unlimited Ink. When you're doing general notary work, you need to ask, is there an instruction page with this? And so those came to you from not a signing service, not a title company that you're working direct with. They sent them to the customers, and you need to ask, are there any instructions? And as a notary, a Notary Star would know to go and look at the lender's instructions. But if those are not there, you got to ask that question. That won't reflect on you because there's no signing service that can leave negative feedback. The title company won't blacklist you for it. They may ask you to redo it, but that's another fee because they sent it to the signers without instructions. That's not on you, so they're not going to trace that back to you. But when we work general notary work, even for loan signings, we need to say, are there instructions? And we need to stop and think, okay, this came from a title company. Let me call that title company and ask them, do you want them to sign in blue and black ink? I've seen all things where they send them over tabbed up. They have instructions and must be signed in black ink. Find your own notary. If you don't see any of that, but one thing that I will tell you is on federal documents, if you have no instruction pages, if they just go on the government website, it's black ink. It's black ink on all federal documents. And there's never going to be any, be all end all rubber band. So don't come back to me if it was like the one federal document that said blue ink and nail me to a cross about it. But, you want to ask for those instructions.
Or did I freeze?
I think I froze. It says my internet's unstable, but just make sure you're asking. And there could be one federal document out there that says gotta have blue ink, but most of them are black ink. If you don't know the company and there's no instructions, always ask.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Miss Beth, who's taking us home tonight?
Miss Amy is taking us home.
All right. Well, I'm going to say it the way I say it, and then we're going to have Miss Amy take it home. If you guys don't mind turning on your cameras so that we can say goodnight to everybody, because we love to say goodnight to the 201 people that tuned in tonight. If you are not naked and you are not stuffing your face with a sandwich right now, please turn on your cameras and let's give all of our brothers and sisters that signature wave. Let's wave to the people of the future that are going to watch the replays. And Miss Amy, how do we really say it here at Notary Stars?
Okay, so I'm going to foobar this really bad because I don't know what it says. Something about, goodness. Can someone say it and that way I learn?
We just try to leave you all with a positive mental place when you leave our group. We want you to feel good about what you heard and about yourselves. So the one I always have a tendency to give is knowing that we're all in the same boat. Some of us, and we're all in the same storm, but some of us are in yachts. Some of us are in canoes, and some of us are dog paddling. So just remember to be kind, reach back, grab the hand of the notary next to you that's struggling, and show them the way. Bring them with you on your journey. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I will create one. I just wasn't quite sure, and I didn't catch that outro until a few minutes.
That's okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. Don't forget to click and download that chat so you get all of those links that were put in there for you tonight.